In life, we don't always succeed. Only a few people mention those that shoot for the top spot but come up empty. While mediocre underachievers are often lost in the shadows of time, there remains a special place for those that fail in a truly impressive way. Achieving a world record takes dedication, persistence, and a certain amount of craziness. Repetition to the point of perfection is often required. Yet there's always a chance for failure, be it man-made incompetence, an accident, or just the shifting of the wind. Even the smallest variable can disrupt one of these attempts. When things go off track, the results are often spectacularly bad. We have a list of the biggest and most famous failures ever for you. Let's look at 10 world records that went terribly wrong. 10. Domino and Sparrow. Who doesn't love domino pieces falling? We can watch hours of those videos, but only when the whole thing's complete. There must be a primary fear in you when your team spends 1 month arranging 4 million dominoes. One wrong bump, a dropped domino, and all your hard work is gone at once, suddenly and spectacularly. This fear must have been experienced daily by a Dutch team as they tried to break the record. When a rogue sparrow somehow got into the house, they were close to completing the layout. The ensuing chaos resulted in the bird knocking down 23,000 dominoes. The tragedy was recoverable, but not in time for the Guinness officials to arrive. The bird was appropriately shot and the attempt was abandoned. 9. Fasting. Russian Agassi Vartanian gloriously sat inside a glass box in St. Petersburg for 50 days, drinking only fluids and refusing to eat in an attempt to break the world record for the longest hunger strike. Fasting is a normal thing for some people of different religions and everyone is familiar with it, but not everyone is into it as much as this guy. His intentions were noble and he believed that he was well on his way into the Guinness Records books, destroying whatever record previously existed. One problem. Agassi forgot to inform the Guinness World Record people of his little attempt, and also do some research on the record. Since Guinness needs prior notification of any record-holding attempt, Agassi's efforts were needlessly in vain. To make matters worse, Guinness had previously listed the record for the longest hunger strike at 94 days, credited to a group of Irish prisoners in the 1920s. Agassi wasn't even close to breaking the established record. We hope he enjoyed his time in his isolated glass bubble. 8. The longest sandwich. Failure comes in a variety of forms. Poor research and preparation are the primary culprits, but sometimes a little thing like an afternoon snack can make a difference between breaking a record or not. Iranian cooks attempted to break the record for the longest sandwich ever made. The goal was to break the 1,300-meter record set by a group of Italians. To do this, they gathered 1,000 Iranian cooks and began work on the desired 1,500-meter long sandwich. Obviously, such an event would draw a huge crowd. Before they could finish the huge sandwich, the assembled viewers, apparently drooling, threw themselves on the sandwich. Yes, the whole sandwich, and started eating it with all their heart. They ate the whole sandwich before it could be made into a world record. At least the Iranians can feel good about providing a free lunch for their people. 7. Firewalking. Possibly it's a good idea to warn any potential volunteers who might turn up for your record-breaking attempt at what they're getting themselves into. That wasn't the case when 300 or more people appeared in New Zealand to try this firewalking record. Some were quite surprised to discover that they would walk over hot coals, but whether through peer pressure or just a sense of daring, most gave it a shot. Given continuous monitoring and medical care on site, 28 people were burned and 11 seriously injured attempting to walk over hot coals. The organizers had planned to make use of this event to raise money. We hope he got some money out of it. 6. Bar hopping. Visit the most bars and drink each beer. The goal sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Strangely enough, the problem hasn't been a drunk binge or an accident or any of the possible incidents you can imagine. It was the host. Guinness had already blacklisted Larry Olmsted. You must be asking, for what? Well, Olmsted, who was already a record holder, wrote a history book on the Guinness Book of Records. He also wrote a book on his attempt at the longest distance traveled between playing 2 rounds of golf on the same day. Both books were not authorized or well received by the Guinness people. The organizers of Guinness were angry about the grim past and attempting of records. Olmsted's latest attempt wasn't allowed as Guinness had already filed legal action against him, which came off as a surprise to him. If you're going for bar hopping, don't forget to check with the organization if they're suing you or not. 5. World record car jump attempt. In 2014, a rally car driver decided to beat the world record by making the biggest jump in the history of rally cars. We all know that jumping in a car from any distance is absolutely frightening. If we're too fast on the speed bump, we crap the bed, but not some people. Some people just do it because they love to do it. Or they just love playing with death, whatever comes first. Well, whatever comes first. Fast car crashing is very dangerous, and if you add a leap into the air, it only increases the risks you take, and even if you're an experienced driver who has trained for months, it would still be very dangerous to try. On a sunny day, the driver drove his car on a snow-filled hill at 130 miles per hour and jumped over the ramp to reach the other side. It seems like he had the right speed, but the jump wasn't quite correct as the car reached the other side, but the front of the car smashed right into the ground in a horrific crash and rolled over several times before finally stopping, and it was completely destroyed. Everyone rushed to see how he was, but thankfully he escaped with just minor bruises and cuts. It was a very scary but very bold attempt nevertheless. 4. No sleep. In 2007, Tony Wright was sure that he broke the record because he was up for 266 hours without sleep. It sounds like a big deal to be able to stay up straight for 11 days. Wright was convinced that he broke the record by 2 full hours. When he awoke from his well-deserved nap, he found that the record was already broken and that too by 10 hours. Worse, Guinness had decided that the record was just too dangerous and it stopped recording it altogether. Hopefully, Wright's 11 days of sleeplessness were productive. 3. Breaking coconuts. Without the help of instruments, we can't imagine the difficulty of splitting a coconut open, but imagine if it was your ultimate life objective to break one. Some people are not so intimidated by the chance. So we introduced Coconut Breaking Guy. The sole goal was to open a series of coconuts with his bare hands as quickly as possible, confirming the superiority of man over nature once and for all. He shattered a few of them using Kung Fu. Certainly, he didn't break any of the ironclad coconuts, but for his efforts, he got the glory of many YouTube hits and maybe a broken hand. And with that, it's now time for today's subscriber pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber. If you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it on a future video. 2. Parkour. Culture in parkour is getting very popular. The crazy idea of jumping from building to building without security gear and just a camera with a selfie stick is becoming increasingly popular. In urban areas, its trend is growing quickly. We strongly suggest it's best reserved for trained experts, and even they shouldn't take those big risks. Amateurs really shouldn't give it a go. In 2012, a 24-year-old girl with her sister and 2 seasoned parkour practitioners climbed a 17-story building. The pros made a hop, then challenged the girls to do it too. One sister had declined before, but later agreed with one of them. The younger sister ran and sprang, but ultimately missed the ledge and instantly fell down the 17-story building to the ground. The men quickly fled the scene and no one broke any records, but the young woman lost her life. 1. 1986 Balloon Fest. Lots of balloons were needed for this record, 1.5 million specifically. Volunteers in Cleveland, Ohio decided to raise money on the town square for charity by flying helium balloons in the air. Many people sat beneath a huge net filling the balloons with helium and releasing them into the air. The net was designed to hold them up to the big release, but the weather isn't always on your side, is it? Sadly, nobody decided to check that day's weather forecast. When the weather turned poor, the net started to move and they decided to release all the balloons in the air before time because they were sticking in the air. But the decision backfired too as the balloons went haywire all over the city. They even caused problems for planes during landings. The whole thing caused a huge mess and took days to clear, costing the city a huge amount of money too. That's our list of the 10 world records gone terribly wrong. Which one do you think was the worst? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.